Oh, come on and focus. What the is happening? I got my first anemone from eBay, actually. I've never done it before, but I read the reviews and they were quite good, and I got this guy. It is gorgeous. I mean, I'm just gonna call it a rainbow. I don't know what fancy name it is. I didn't want to mix the acid-washed green Nems that I got, so I went ahead and I moved all of those acid-wash green bubble tip anemones over to this tank. And because they were so small, which was disappointing to me, I put them all together, and within a few days, the Nems started hosting, or I should say the green bubble tips started hosting the anemones. And you know what? They don't look half bad. All bunched together there, they look like one decent sized anemone. Their bubbles are super bubbly, you know, I mean, it's probably one of the healthiest looking ones I have. So I've started feeding it, and this little section over here, while it's kind of dull in color, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great because I have 3 more bubble tip anemones, rainbow or rose, whatever you want to call them, something similar to this with all the greens and the reds. And that's coming in as well on Monday. So I am going to probably move this guy. But the problem is, if you look really closely in this clip here, his mouth is still open. I think the shipping was a little bit rough on him, and so he came and his mouth was wide open. And I did a water change today on this tank. You know, I've tested, the ammonia is still at 0. I have a clownfish in here that I've been feeding as well, but I've been changing the water every 3 days, but I'm not doing any sort of antibiotic treatment because it's not deflating. It's staying puffed up, but its mouth is not tight yet. And if you look really close, you can see the white right in the center. That's the mouth. So I'm not really concerned about it, but I'm also not feeding it right now except for the light, you know, the AI Prime light that I have that's kind of acclimating. Basically, all the Nems are getting about 150 par right there. That's kind of how I said it. Blue heavy, 150 par, but the spectrum over here is the same as the spectrum on the Harem tank, so that they don't have to change spectrums. It's just more intense over here so that you can get 150 to 200 par along the top of the rocks. But if this guy's mouth isn't closed up by tomorrow, I have a second blue basket, and when those other anemones arrive, I'll just put them in there. I would have preferred not to do that, just in case the other ones have some sort of bacterial infection, but I don't want to move this anemone over when it's still stressed out, when its mouth is still open. Have to wait a little bit on that, but, I mean, this tank, it has, how many anemones does it have now? Oh yeah, I didn't even mention, look at this. The original green bubble tip is looking so much better, and the clowns are actually hosting it, and its tentacles are growing back, and it stayed right there. So we have that one. Watermelon's looking good. Those purple tips are coming in. Still needs to get a lot more green. That's 2. Then we have 3, 4, 5, and then this green section, that's like 9 or 10 right there. So we're up to like 15, and overall the tank's looking really good and a really good first experience. Oh yeah, you guys are probably wondering, how much did I pay? How much did I pay for this one? I paid $145 total with shipping. Not the cheapest, not the most expensive, definitely. And this one, inches wise, I believe if you measure all the way across, it's 3 to 4 inches. So definitely a better size than those green bubble tip Nems. I knew it was going to happen eventually. This poor, starved to death. This poor thing. Oh my God. Well, I'm going to pull it out of there, put it out of its misery. Oh my God, poor thing. It was just being eaten by the cleaner shrimp, but it's still breathing. Oh, it's so frustrating. Let me get him out of there. Oh, that poor thing. God, just starved to death in here. Okay, well, I'm gonna go put him out of his misery. I hate when I lose one like this. Just the worst. I mean, this is 100% my fault. Can't blame anybody except myself. Sorry, Algae Blenny. You know, when this happens to me, it's, when it happens to me, when I do this, I'm not a victim here, this guy's the victim. When I do this, it's so frustrating because, you know, it brings up this moral quandary that I have, you know, encouraging beginners in the hobby, because this is a hard hobby. This is, I mean, it just is a hard hobby. And yes, livestock loss is going to happen and, you know, all that, but you know, what duty do we have? I think we have an incredible duty to care for these fish. And so sometimes I feel I shouldn't be recommending this hobby to people who don't know what they're doing, because this is going to happen more than it should. I mean, it happens to me, and I'm not an expert, but I'm no beginner. And this should have been preventable. You know, he just starved to death. That was it. That was it. So I should have done a better job of trying to feed him. I should have figured something out, but I didn't. What the hell is happening? Separate tank, one day after the other fish died. And look, what the hell? Why? That's the Anthias. Oh, come on and focus.
Obviously, the cleaner shrimp's having a little bit of a feast, but why? Like, why? Why did the Anthias die? Nitrates, 25? I don't know. That's really just incredibly frustrating. Gosh. Okay, well, we're having a bad go of it here, evidently. There's some damage on the side if you look at the Anthias. I mean, mouth is open. I don't see any super obvious damage. Here, let's take... Sorry, fishy. I got a little biopsy here to see what's going on. What are we seeing here? In regards to weight, I mean, look, nice and healthy. Been eating a ton. Here's the other side. Look at the coloring looks good. I don't see any like diseases. No lesions. I mean, some of this could just be the shrimp was eating it. I don't know how long ago it died. I mean, this could just be where I grabbed it, right down here. But I just don't see any obvious signs. I mean, I'm looking in the gills. I know this is kind of morbid, but I think it's important to figure out why your fish died if you can. I don't see any parasites or anything in the gills. I don't know. I really don't know. The mouth, I don't know. I don't know why it's dead. I don't know why it's dead. Just stressed out. Anthias, unfortunately, are the kind of fish that if they are stressed, they die. I need a bigger tank. I mean, the moral of the story is I need a bigger tank for all these fish. So, all right, well, goodbye, Anthias. Sorry.
Last thing I want to do is I want to add some corals right up here to the 14-gallon tank. But check out this. The bigger longfin clownfish has been super bullying the smaller one, and I actually thought the smaller one was dead today because look at where the small clownfish was hiding, completely sucked up against the overflow. And so I actually put my finger in there being like, oh my god, are you dead? Are you stuck? But no, it was just a relaxing place to kind of hide from the bigger longfin clownfish. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that situation because I don't have another home, and I'm hoping they can work it out, but I don't want that bigger longfin clown to end up killing the smaller one. So I'm going to keep my eye on them, maybe set up a new tank really quickly if I have to. I do have that 20-gallon Innovative Marine Nuvo Encore tank. I could fill that up and set that up, and I don't want to have like 10 separate tanks with one clownfish each because they can't get along. But on the other note, this tank is ready for some more corals. The tricky thing is, if we take a peek over at the quarantine tank, there are quite a few good corals, and I'm tempted to move over these torch corals, no, these hammer corals and this frog spawn, but I also don't want to take it away from the two clowns in there that seem really happy. So I have some other options. I'm not going to do any more zoas because I already have that zoa rock in the 14-gallon tank. I have a Halloween lepto that could look good, a bird's nest maybe near the top. I have a Monty Cap, an encrusting one that's green and orange. That could be good. I'm definitely going to move over those pink Gonopora, at least one of them, somewhere near the bottom. I don't know. Let's play around with it. Placing corals is definitely an art form, and if you look at the tank right now, it's already not looking great because I put both the green toadstool and the zoa rock, and it's just too cluttery. So I think I need to take out the green toadstool and then add a couple things in. So let's find a couple good pieces, one or two good pieces, and move them over to the new tank.